So for my statistics research project, I took a look at minority population shifts in the state of South Dakota. South Dakota is a state that I'm from, and so I was interested in some of the changes that have been happening both while I was there and since I've left. South Dakota is a state in the middle of the country that's traditionally been known for mostly farming. It's always had immigration to there, but primarily has been from more northern European Caucasian areas. And in 1981, South Dakota changed its laws, which encouraged banks to move their operations to the state, Citibank being the first one of those to move. And the state started to notice a shift from more of an agricultural based economy to one with more business and technology. The first article I took a look at was looking at racial and ethnic diversity and the changes in rural U.S. populations. He took more of a focus on Hispanic immigrants coming to the area and how, um, as more of the people my generation from the Northern European background are moving out, more Hispanic and non-white immigrants are moving in and actually changing the landscape of the area. And for my second one, I took a look at the history of the law and policy changes and what led South Dakota to making the changes that brought Citibank in, as well as what Citibank was looking for and why they were looking to move to South Dakota, and kind of how it's then continued to change the state, especially in Sioux Falls, which is the biggest town in the state. The third article I took a look at is how, while it's always been a state of immigrants, um, the health practices and health landscape has been changing based on different needs and expectations. Many of the immigrants who are coming to the state now are refugees and have different mental, emotional, and physical health needs that practitioners aren't necessarily going to be aware of due to their backgrounds. So, for my question, I wanted to look at, since the establishment of more company friendly tax laws in South Dakota and Citibank's credit card operations moving to the state in 1981, has there been a shift in diversity of minority populations in South Dakota? So, to do this, I took a look at a lot of um, census data from 1980 up until 2016. Depending on the year, there was a lot more or less information as far as breakdown of different minority groups. And actually, South Dakota's always had a pretty big Native American population, but they didn't actually start breaking down by tribal groups until um, 2010 census. They apparently had the data in the 2000 census, but forgot to include it. Um, so that you can see there's a lot of breakdown into different racial groups, um, combinations, and then the different types of Hispanic. So I had to kind of narrow down the information so I could better look at it. Uh, in this, you can see I just kind of broke it down into total population of the state, white, black, American Indian, Asian, and Hispanic. Um, and from that data, I was able to come up with percentages to better see how how the ratios have changed within the state. And you can actually kind of see just from the data that there's been an increase in diversity in the state and a decrease of the majority being white in here. You can better see it once I plotted it out on the graph. And you can see there was kind of a slow movement uh, early on, from 1980 to 1990, but right around 2000 into 2010, there's been much more of a increase, especially Hispanic, Latino, Black and Asian, Black and then Asian American. Um, some of the limitations in my study, I had limits in the census data I was able to get access to. I would have liked to have done more detail into county by county and comparisons with that, but it was hard to find information from that prior to 2010. Um, and then limited data access also made it harder for me to get anything prior to 1980. Um, and then there's also, there's many reasons that people have been moving into the state, minority populations have been moving into the state. Citibank is just one of the possibilities. I wasn't able to um, discount that more migrant workers might be coming into the state and becoming permanent residents. Other industries may be bringing immigrants. There might be something else I'm not aware of as I'm looking at this. And also, just one of the other limitations was different demographic measurements, depending on the year of the survey, meant that I had limits in what I could exactly look at.